Now I think that you can see the presentation. My presentation is revolving around one topic, which is writing cases with students. I want to share with you my experience regarding what I did within the American University in Cairo. So let us start by why do we need case studies? And I will take around 35 minutes for the presentation and then move on to questions and answers. Why do we need case studies? One of the things that attracted me to the idea of case studies is that I am already a practitioner. I was raised since I was a child in a textile industry till I reached the age, so I have an experience. The academic side was not on my mind. So the idea of case studies are really personal and dear to me. You learn by experience, and good case studies can provide experience to other people, whether in the academia or in the business. The second thing is that I'm working in an institution called the American University in Cairo, where the case studies are one of the main pillars. All of the subjects that we teach are always case oriented. One of the other reasons that I've noticed is that if you are only adhering to academia, you need to link theory to practice. And I believe that case studies can provide this. One of the other issues is that theories are sometimes, or most of the times, are boring to students. Also, the new trend of adopting case-oriented courses. These are all things related to academia. On the other hand, we can find some problems that addresses the need of case studies for business. The idea of difficulty of communicating theory to business environment. Also, the lack of literature about real-life cases which can help business to evolve. All of these issues are extremely important. Also, the misperception about academia from the perspective of business society. So we need to match the business and the academia. I believe personally, and the American University in Cairo believes that there must be some sort of an alignment between business and academia. Moving on to the next stage, let us have a brief about the evolution of case writing at the AUC. This is my personal insight or my personal experience. In the beginning, I started having micro cases or writing micro cases for freshman students in a course called Introduction to Business. Later on, we started another course in spring 2017 under the title of Family Business. The main output of the course was a long family business case. Later on, it developed, and we included strategy cases, all of them co-authored with students. On 2019, I introduced many cases to the strategy and entrepreneurship cases, and always co-authored with students. In 2020, right now in this semester, I'm addressing a new topic for the first time in the Middle East, which is called corporate entrepreneurship. So the evolution took time between 2015 and 2020. During this time, there was a lot of experiences to be shared. One of which I want to share with you where we are now. Now we have 18 cases published or accepted or in the process of publication. All of the cases were peer-reviewed and in prominent journals. The first stage, we have a case clearing house within the AUC, which is called Khazendar Case Center. And we also publish within the case center. We have 3 family business cases. And within this week, we will have another 2 family business cases, long ones, within the case center. The idea is that these cases, although the case center does not require peer review, but all of these cases are reviewed by an external editor through the case center. 4 cases were accepted also at the Sage business cases, and another 3 within the case of acceptance. 2 cases are in the final review stage at the emerging markets, Emerald Emerging Markets. 2 cases are presented here at the NACRA conference, and I have another 2 cases which will be presented during the Family Business in the Arab World Conference. So this is a huge amount of cases, and I'm talking about 20 cases in the internal reviewing phase. So I'm talking about a total of 38 cases, whether published or in the pipeline of publication. The coronation of what we had during the last 5 years was the award that we received from the EFMD on 2019. We won the award for the family business discipline. And here are the students' pictures with me in the middle, okay? And this was a great experience. And to be honest, it came as a surprise for us because it was published maybe 1.5 years after the case was in the reviewing process. So it was a great experience. Before moving on into methodology of case writing, I want to share with you my interest that we need to understand more about case analysis in order to help students as case writers. There is some sort of a saying that mentions reading and writing do not inevitably go together. You can read without learning a thing about writing, grammar, or spelling, although you certainly cannot learn anything about writing, grammar, or spelling unless you read. The same applies for a case. What happens is that students need to know about analysis, and then they can move on to the case writing methodology. Moving on, we need to understand, or the students take a lot of exercises related to case analysis. But in order to do that, they need to understand thoroughly the steps of case analysis. So beginning with, they have the gaining familiarity and so on, and recommendations and available alternatives. So you give them some sort of an outline of how they can analyze a case, which is a prerequisite for writing any case. If they cannot master the case analysis, they will not be able to master the case writing, which is really, really important. On the other hand, there must be some sort of guidelines and rubrics within the class, guidelines and rubrics for case writing and presentation. And I want to share with you some of the guidelines and the rubrics which I use in my class. Of course, if anyone are anxious to have all of these things written in Word format, I can send it. We are writing up till now in 4 fields: family business, which is our main concern; specialty; writing all; and I presented 2 cases in NACRA related to we are writing also in strategy, long and mini cases, and we will start this on fall to 2020. There are some guidelines that needs to be tackled. Number 1, from a format, you need to tackle the number of words, spacing, font style, and font size, and so on. This is extremely important if you are going to write a case with a student or with a team of students. These are mentioned in advance at the beginning of the course. Also, there is a need to mention some guidelines about how they are going to present the case at the end of the semester. There is also some sort of guidelines related to structure. The structure of family business cases differs than entrepreneurship, differs than corporate, differs than long strategy cases. So the structure is mentioned to the students in advance before the beginning of the course. And always whenever the course passes, the instructor tries to remind them of the structure or the roadmap for writing the case. In fact, it differs from one topic to another. I do not want to go through the details of this, but this is mentioned and shared, and I can share the presentation with you if you want to have it. One of the issues is to have a pre-designed rubric for students. Students are always anxious to have a rubric to know how they are evaluated. One of the things that we have, what we call a case analysis rubrics, and it includes several points mentioned in advance. Also, we have case writing rubric in advance. It's mentioned to the students, which include complying with guidelines, providing valid evidence, quality of content, stringency of language, and so on. All of the rubrics are done on a Likert scale, where we have from 1, which is poor, to 5, which is outstanding. We have also case presentation rubric. It's related to the final presentation within after the course ends. And we have a grading system. If you notice that the case writing represents around we have 30 plus 10, which means 40, and the case writing represents 45% of the total grade of the course, whether it's a family business course, an entrepreneurship course, or a strategy course. On the other hand, we have a midterm rubric, okay, which we have where we have a case analysis and questions are asked to the students. There is another question that needs to be resolved. The main question is how to involve students. It's mainly about practice, practice, practice. So what we do is that we have 2 individual case analysis assignments. We have 1 group case analysis and presentation analysis, 1 midterm case analysis. This is really needed in order to prepare the students for the case writing. On the other hand, throughout the semester, we discuss 3 co-authored cases, 3 cases co-authored with students, and we have a benchmark, and we test the cases in class, at least 3 cases within each semester, according to the topic discussed. Another thing is that the instructor should have to provide a feedback. So a rigorous feedback about the final version of the written case is there. There are 3 official progress reports per semester, which represents 5% of the total grade. And there are 3 non-official feedback about case writing progress. This is extremely important for the students to get the feedback. We also provide at least 4 guest speakers, and I've heard this through another session. Mainly, sometimes we get guest speakers who are protagonists of some cases, and this is really important to involve all the students within the case studies. On the other hand, a criteria for choosing the business case is given to the students before they start the case writing. One of the issues is that they should have accessibility to information. It might be a family, a parent, and so on. A company that does not belong to students' family, but they have access to internal information. One of the issues is that we need to have consent for future publication for educational reasons. On the other hand, in order to increase the motivation for the students to participate and to write cases, we give some sort of awards at the end of the semester. These awards are given by consultancy firms, because the student is not only writing a case, but he or she is also acting as a consultant. So a consulting firm or a company is providing internships for students. There are some challenges faced in the writing process. One Let us start one by one. Students might be losing interest due to the rigorousness of the exercises. Also, students who are taking the course and as an elective might not be interested in the topic. And I have several examples from family business courses. Also, unfair distribution of roles among the team members who are writing the case. Another thing is obtaining the right questions for the teaching notes. And this represents a very important challenge because students must be masters at developing questions, not only answers. Also, the load of obtaining information is mainly related to one of the team members, which represents a problem as well. Students are also sometimes overwhelmed with assignments. I'm saying this because mainly these exercises are presented to graduating seniors, which means that they need a lot of time and they are always concerned about the grades. There are some problems with publishing cases, one of which we have exhausting revision exercises and revision of cases, which takes a lot of time. For example, the winning case took us around a year and a half in order to publish, and then another 6 months in order to get the award. Also, obtaining consent for publication. Initially, businesses say that, okay, we are okay with publishing. I faced a situation where a case study have reached a stage where it was reviewed by reviewers and it got some sort of acceptance, but unfortunately, the family decided that they do not want to publish. On the other hand, you might lose track of authors. They graduated and you can lose track of the authors. One of the other things is the long reviewing process. Also, finding a qualified editor. Personally, I'm not a native English speaker, so sometimes it represents a very big challenge to find a qualified editor. Also, finding the appropriate publication journal. There are some sort of recommendations that needs to be discussed in order to clarify this or solve all of these problems. One of the issues, you must involve students in the case choice of the case as early as possible. It is not me as an instructor who should choose the case. I can help in facilitating the choice of the case, but the students must depend on themselves. On the other hand, we must conduct formal and informal progress review. I'm saying this because writing a case with students represents an exhaustive exercise. On the other hand, we must increase the number of office hours. Office hours are surely needed for following up with the case studies. One of the other things is that we need to develop a contribution template for the students in order to secure that all of the students are participating fairly within the case studies. On the other hand, it is advised to use Google Docs to follow up on the progress of the case writing. Also, you need to provide timely feedback. Timely feedback is extremely important for the motivation of the students. Also, it is advised to involve students who are taking the class as an elective. I mentioned that because there is a problem, and I will give an example that happened with me during the family business course. Some of the students do not have a family business, so there is a need to always get their feedback on how they are feeling about the course, how they are feeling about the approach and the methodology, and how they can benefit from the case writing in the family business. Always try to relate the importance of the case writing to the screening process of hiring at multinational companies. Most of the multinational companies nowadays are interested in or do the screening process through writing, through cases or case analysis. Students or graduating students should understand that it is really needed to understand about case analysis as well as be part of a case writing exercise. Also, it is advised to document all of the meetings with the protagonists, train students about how to develop questions, and I think this is the most important recommendation. One of the issues is to get an initial consent early in the process of writing. So you can send an email to get the initial consent from the protagonist of the case. Prepare a scenario to attract the business to publish. This is always the difficult part. They always ask, what's in it for me? So you must prepare a scenario for this. I will finish here. Thank you for participation.